Thank you, Chris. It's usually we get knocking somebody or having to report something dreadful or nasty, and that's a good report. So, all you people that are short GM at 38, it's 273. Stay short.
What do you
it
think?
Looks like we might cover the short under $1.
What do you think about the government guarantee and the warranties?
I think that, look, there's 10 states in the United States that are dependent in a great way on either the industry or supplying the industry. And whether we like it or not, this is an attempt to save jobs. We're not saving banks, brokerage firms, insurance companies like we have been for the last 21 months. We're trying to save people's jobs. And I think that's okay. I just do.
Yeah, but can the government really provide the backup for the warranties?
Well, I don't think they'll pay to have it done somewhere. But,
Sounds
we've
like
got
a
the
lot
French.
of open room for fraud to me.
Well, look, what are we going to do?
Yeah, I know.
Put another 10 million people out of work? Come on.
Yeah, I know.
It's bad enough as it is. These monsters in Washington and in New York were the ones that created this. This didn't happen yesterday. They started this in the 70s when they dumped gold and they started globalization at the same time. So this problem is nothing that we didn't know about if you were observing things or reading the international forecast. You knew this was coming. The industry didn't know that because they were too busy trying to make money and playing footsie with the labor unions. But some of the people within the industry, like Henry Ford, son, whatever his name is, he knew all about it. He's a Bilderberger. And so, the top people in this industry of automotive and trucks and all the supplies, the top people knew. And, this was deliberate. And because of public pressure, they're having to do something. Now, France, China, Russia are doing the same thing. Now, one of the things that's going to be discussed at the G20 is free trade and globalization. And countries are concerned that that's going to fall apart because of what I just mentioned, plus additional tariffs, which are being put in place by a number of countries. And I think that's terrific. I don't want free trade and globalization. I want tariffs on goods and services, enunciating services. The guy, companies like IBM and Google and all them getting away with murder by hiring people outside the country, and the banking industry as well. And that's got to stop. I mean, if we had too much business and had to do business elsewhere because we needed help, it's one thing. But that's not the case. Companies are being deliberately moved out of the country. And I'm against that. I think that's wrong. Our tariffs made America, in part, a great country. And I hear all of these newsletter writers saying, oh, you're wrong. That's not free trade. There's nothing that can be called free trade. Do you call every country in the world deliberately devaluing their currency so we can't compete with them free trade? No. Can you call slave labor in Mexico, Bangladesh, China, India, where people get paid 1/10 to 1/4 of what they do in the United States or Western Europe? No, that's not free trade. We want fair trade where things match up. That's what we want. That's what's important. We want our jobs back. And it's going to happen because this whole thing's going to come flying apart. They're not going to be able to pull it off. And not only we're going to bring them all to trial, and put them in the can and take their wealth away from them, but we're also going to make sure all that business comes back. And it's not that we're trying to impoverish anybody, but as long as we have the American engine going, the whole world can prosper. There's room for everybody. We go down in the toilet, the whole world is doomed. So just think about that. So, I don't like having to bail out the automobile industry, but if it's going to save jobs, I'm for it.
Well, it was interesting today. I think I just briefly caught Kudlow, and everybody knows our opinion on him. But today he was screaming to let them fail, let them file bankruptcy. There's no reason to bail them out. But yet, when it comes to the banks and everything, he's just the opposite, So,
well, of course.
Yeah.
CNBC bought out FNN in Los Angeles, and that's how they came into being. It's called the Financial News Network. And Ed Nye and Ron and Sana, well, they were on every day, but I was on 3 or 4 times a week on that channel. And I know exactly the makeup and everything else. And when they took it over, they changed it into an illuminous superstructure to brainwash people. In fact, I tried to get on to debate Greenspan, and I talked to Ron and Sana about it. He says, we can't let you on there. He said, they'll take my job. He said, you're a street fighter. You'll destroy this guy. And it won't take you but 5 or 10 minutes to do it. He said, my management won't let it happen. And I said, well, they don't know who I am. They said, oh, sure they do. And so they keep tabs on all of what they call the good guys and the outsiders. I'm an outsider, of course. But anyway, that's the way CNBC is run.
Yep.
And it's run for Wall Street, the Illuminati, the banking, corporate America, National Chamber of Commerce. Give me a break.
I only have one question, and it's, can we talk about the effect the jewelry trade in India has on the price of gold? A lot of people online, like Nadler at Kitco, are always using this as a price adjustment excuse. Also, one of the headlines on the website, I don't know, Pimpin' Turtle or something like that, I don't know. Check out at the site if you have time. Thanks, and keep up the good work. So what about that, Bob? The jewelry trade?
Well, let me put it this way. For starters, I wouldn't think of doing business with Kitco. And I'll just leave it at that. Second of all, people have to understand that the jewelry that is bought in India and China, Bangladesh, Pakistan, in those areas of the world, Iran, is not bought for adornment. It's not like you get down to Cartier and buy a designed bracelet of gold with some diamonds in it or something. This is totally different. These are 24-karat bangles. And, yes, women drape them over their arms, and they might have 30 or 40 on each arm to show the local neighbors how rich they are. But that is not the intention. It's not jewelry. It's just a form of attaining gold. The Indians in India have probably 1/3 of all the gold ever produced. And they buy about 30% of gold production every year. Most of it is in the form of what is called jewelry, but it really isn't. Now, if Kitco wants to say that Indian jewelry sales are down, that's okay, if they are. And they are down. But that's not going to make a big difference. The reason they're down is it's become somewhat price resistant. But you've got to remember, they have 3 major holidays a year. And during those holidays, the 2 biggest ones would come in the fall, Dali, I can't remember the name of them, but anyway, during those 3 periods, it is traditional that gold is purchased and it is given for dowries and gifts and so on. And yes, from time to time, the purchase of jewelry is going to drop, and it has evidently from anywhere from, let's say, $950 to $1,000. I guess maybe Indians think that that's a good price, and they don't want to buy anymore. But human nature is interesting, and Melody will bear this out, as it has been borne out by other quality dealers in America in